welcome to Reach for Power, where we take a closer look at the power itself and the strategies to build it. We also analyze various roadblocks, self-limiting beliefs and behaviors that might be blocking your potential. I am your host, Monika Kruk, and in this episode we will focus on reframing failure, or the hidden power of setbacks. When we think about failure, we often picture defeat, loss, or even embarrassment. Society has conditioned us to view failure as something negative, a roadblock on the path to success. But what if failure wasn't an obstacle at all? What if it was actually a critical ingredient for long-term growth, credibility, and influence? Welcome to the art of reframing failure, the ability to shift your perspective on setbacks and use them as powerful tools for learning, resilience, and professional development. Instead of seeing failure as a sign of weakness, we can train ourselves to recognize it as a stepping stone toward greater achievement. Today, we will explore the science behind failure, real-world case studies of those who have turned setbacks into strengths, and strategies to help you reframe failure in your own life. Let's start with psychology behind failure and perception. Our fear of failure is deeply rooted in human psychology. Studies in cognitive psychology and behavioral neuroscience suggest that failure triggers a stress response in the brain, leading to feelings of shame, anxiety, and avoidance. When we fail, our brain's amygdala, responsible for processing fear, activates a response similar to a physical threat. However, modern research in growth mindset theory, pioneered by Carol Dweck, shows that the way we interpret failure has a significant impact on our ability to succeed. According to Dweck, individuals with a fixed mindset see failure as a permanent reflection on their abilities. In contrast, those with a growth mindset view failure as an opportunity to learn, adapt, and improve. Another key psychological concept is the attribution theory of success and failure, developed by Bernard Weiner. This theory explains that people who attribute failure to internal, controllable factors, such as effort and strategy, are more likely to persist and ultimately succeed, whereas those who blame external factors, like bad luck or unfair conditions, often become discouraged and give up. The takeaway? Failure is only damaging when we fail to learn from it. By shifting our perception, we can use setbacks as fuel for resilience and reinvention. Okay, so let's have a look how reframing failure might help us turn setbacks into strengths. The key is understanding that failure, when properly framed, actually enhances your credibility, problem-solving ability, and leadership presence. Point number 1. Failure as a reputation-building opportunity. Contrary to popular belief, failure can strengthen your reputation if you handle it correctly. The most respected leaders are those who openly acknowledge setbacks, take responsibility, and demonstrate how they learned from the experience. Research from Harvard Business School suggests that leaders who share stories of overcoming failure are perceived as more relatable, resilient, and competent than those who never admit to setbacks. Why? Because overcoming failure demonstrates adaptability, problem-solving skills, and a willingness to grow. To harness this effect, practice transparent storytelling. Instead of hiding past failures, frame them as pivotal learning moments. By doing so, you cultivate authenticity and credibility among peers and leaders. Point number 2, failure as a data point, not a verdict. One of the most effective ways to reframe failure is to see it as a source of valuable data rather than a personal judgment. Instead of asking, why did I fail? Ask, what can I learn from this? This concept is widely embraced in Silicon Valley and startup culture, where companies follow a fail fast, learn fast model. Engineers, entrepreneurs, and product developers view failed experiments as critical insights that refine their strategies. Amazon, Google, and SpaceX all encourage rapid prototyping, knowing that each failure brings them closer to an optimal solution. In your career, treating failure as a data point means analyzing mistakes with curiosity rather than self-judgment. What patterns emerge? What assumptions need to be challenged? What skills can be strengthened? Shifting to a data-driven mindset turns failures into stepping stones. Point number 3, the role of narrative in reframing failure. The way we tell the story of our failures influences how others perceive us and how we perceive ourselves. Consider two professionals who experience a similar career setback, such as missing out on a promotion. One tells themselves, I failed because I wasn't good enough. The other says, I wasn't chosen this time. But now I know what I need to improve for the next opportunity. The first narrative breeds stagnation and self-doubt. The second fuels resilience and action. A helpful tool in reframing failure is cognitive reappraisal, a technique from positive psychology that involves rewriting the meaning of an event. Instead of labeling a setback as career ending, frame it as a turning point that led to new skills, perspectives, and opportunities. Let's have a look at some stories of failure that led to success. And by the way, many of history's most successful individuals have faced repeated failure. What sets them apart is their ability to reframe setbacks as a part of their journey rather than as an endpoint. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job because he was told he lacked imagination. Today, his name is synonymous with creativity and innovation. Oprah Winfrey was demoted from her role as a television news anchor early in her career. Instead of giving up, she used the setback as a stepping stone towards launching her own platform. Steve Jobs was forced out of Apple, the company he co-founded, only to return years later and transform it into one of the most successful companies in history. Each of these figures used failure as a catalyst for reinvention. They understood that setbacks weren't the end of the road. They were just a detour. So let us have a look at actionable strategies for reframing failure. If you want to start viewing failure as an asset rather than a liability, consider these action steps. Point number 1, conduct a failure audit. Write down past failures and list what they taught you. This exercise reveals how setbacks contribute to long-term growth. Point number 2, adopt a learning mindset. Instead of aiming for perfection, focus on continuous improvement. Each failure is a lesson, not a reflection of your worth. Point number 3, normalize failure in conversations. Share stories of resilience with colleagues and peers. When failure is openly discussed, it becomes less stigmatized and more valuable. Point number 4, seek constructive feedback. Instead of avoiding criticism, actively ask for feedback on what went wrong and how to improve. And point number 5, redefine success. Shift your definition of success from never failing to always learning. In conclusion, failure does not have to be the enemy. It's not a dead end or a reflection of your worth. It is an inevitable, valuable part of growth. The most influential, resilient, and respected individuals are those who embrace failure as a teacher rather than fear it as a punishment. When you learn to reframe setbacks as opportunities, you take control of your own narrative. You gain the confidence to take risks, the wisdom to pivot, and the resilience to keep moving forward. So next time you face a setback, pause and ask yourself, how can I use this to my advantage? Because once you start seeing failure as a foundation for future success, you will never fear it again. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe to have regular access to a newly published content and leave a like. You are also welcome to check Reach for Power webpage at reachforpower.com for more materials and share your thoughts and comments through LinkedIn with me. Thank you for joining today and keep on reaching for power.